Hey guys, the next mode that I want to talk about is another one that's pretty big for BP. Um, this mode doesn't cost any stamina, but you do need heroes to do it. So we're going to talk about hero rating today. I'm going to go ahead and just start with this front screen and explain kind of what all of this stuff means. So the goal behind hero rating is to get stars. You can get 1 to 3 stars on every mission, and there are 17 missions for each hero to complete. Your stars are cumulative between your heroes. So when you get 3, you get an attack bonus of 5, defense of 5, HP of 30. At 6, you get these stack, right? So another 5, 5, and 30. These rewards are at 3, 6, 9, 12, right, as you can see. At 30, you get your first big bonus. In battle, the damage of hero's normal attack will rise by 120 points with each hit. That is a pretty solid buff. You keep going, and at 60, you see another one. This is for the R skill. Keep going, and at 90, you see another. Now, these start to get a little bit further apart. See, so right here, after Repulsion Break level 2, going into First Strike level 3, you hit a 60 star gap. But you're still getting rewards every 6 stars. These are really good. So you want to be focusing on these stars. You also get rewards down here for total stars. There are some hero coins, which are good, but you know, for the most part, this is where it matters. I can show you my boost details too, to show you my total stat bonuses and my skill rewards. These are all at max level, which is obtained at 900 stars. So that's what the point is. How does it work? If we hit challenge, we can see all of our heroes. So every hero you have unlocked shows up here. I believe the ones you don't will be grayed out. And every hero has their individual star count. What I'm going to do is run through each mission. I'm starting out as Ojiro because he doesn't have such high BP that he'll kill them in one hit, but I don't think I can do them all as him. So it tells you exactly what's going on over in the left. If you get hit by Giant Villain, you get stunned. This is pretty simple to avoid. You just dodge it. If you hit him enough to break his gauge, he shrinks down, just like he does in every other mode where you fight him, break his guard, and beat him down. For stage 2, we have All for One. It's not actually the enemy, that's just what it's called. So the enemy is Steel Bulwark. He also has stun skills and charges in to use them. Therefore, as it says here, it's recommended to stay close. If you have ranged characters, that might be difficult, right? Kaminari, Dabi, but they do have some close skills too. But just beat him down and avoid getting caught if he races in at you. Level 3 is called Faux Villain Sneak. So this one, it says that the villain will try to leave contest grounds. I'm going to see if I can show you what they mean by that. Yep. See, so he digs underground and I believe reappears somewhere else. That might mean that it's a different villain. Oh, I should have let him live. So you might run the risk of losing, like if you deal some damage and they escape, of losing that villain. But I can't verify that. But either way, your goal is to just beat 9 of them in the time limit. Level 4, we have Unbreakable Hammer. This is the first one where we fight Scavenger. I believe that happens again later. I say I believe. It does. This one is just a straightforward boss fight. So you'll want to dodge his attacks. He's a pretty heavy hitter, and he doesn't have a shield to break, so you just fight him. The next level is called Wall of Muscle. In this one, we fight Habit Headgear. So he produces a shield. If you have high enough BP, it is possible to kill him before the shield shows up, completely negating his gimmick. But if you don't, or, if you take too long, he generates that shield. Doesn't quite block all damage, but it significantly lowers the damage you deal. And that takes 20 hits to break. And once it does break, you just finish him off. Really good characters here are characters who can attack fast, or you have like a flurry of attacks, right? Lingering effects, I believe, can still damage him through the shield. But when that shield comes up, you want to do whatever attack that character has that's the fastest and just break it. You can also use support cards to do that. If you have Nezu snipe attacks a few times, just anybody that can help you lower that count. The next level is called Electric Chain. So this is where we're going to be fighting Tesla for the first time. This one has an interesting technique that unfortunately I can't demonstrate, but I can explain. It says over here, as your combos increase, you get a damage buff. So characters like Ida, who rely on combos, are great here, but anyone really anybody can take advantage of that buff. If you can get to 50 hits, then you're dealing 50% bonus damage. So the advice I'd give here is if he does start to run away, you can use your support cards to extend that combo. Try not to let that meter drain. Nezu is really good for that. And there are some others. Nezu is my favorite to use. But Death Arms can come in a pinch too if he gets too far away. And you just want to lengthen the duration of the bar. You can use Death Arms to fill it back up and then get close to him. The next level is called Faux Villain Circle. So here you have this Disruptor. Characters who can hit them in the air don't really need it. But as you can see, Ojiro has some trouble doing that until, partway through his combo. Some characters have even more difficulty. But if you use this Disruptor, that knocks them to the ground, and it also kind of makes them, it staggers them. So take advantage of that Disruptor, use it as many times as you need to, go back and forth, and eventually you can take them down. The next level is called Faux Villain Breakthrough. So in this mission, we have to fight this big guy. Once again, a high BP makes this trivial. That's true of a lot of them, not all. But when he gets this shield, he's invincible from all damage. So, doesn't matter how strong you are, what cards you have, you can't hurt him. You have to kill his 2 minions that he spawns. His shield will go down, and you can start damaging him again. The shield does come back up if he lasts long enough, but if you can take him down before that, great. The next mission is 100 Eyes Clone. So here, just like every other time you fight 100 Eyes, he can summon clones. That's mildly frustrating. Once again, if you kill him fast enough, that doesn't activate, but that's why I picked one of my weaker characters so that I could kind of show you what's going on. Take the clones out, and he comes back, and try to take him down before he summons more clones. Just a side note, once again, Nezu is great here. All Might or Endeavor actives, if you happen to have them, are good for gathering clones. So if you can get some AoE damage and hit all the clones at once, it stops you from having to chase them around the map. Up next is Brothers into Battle. So this one you fight Team Reservoir Dogs. The challenge here is the two brothers are bound together. So what that means is if I get one of them down to basically 0 HP, then his HP stops moving. He can't die until the other one is dead as well, right? So as you can see, he's no longer taking damage, so I have to switch my targets and fight the other one. There are a couple different strategies here. You can try to divide your fight between the two and get them both down to 1 at the same time. You can focus on one and then switch to the other. Really, I don't think it matters. However, it's easiest if you want to just go for this guy when he's dizzy and the other one when he's not. The main thing is to make sure you're not wasting time targeting one that you've already defeated. So the next one's called We Rounded Them All Up. I could switch some cards around and do that one as Ojiro, but I'll save that for later, and I'll just kind of run through
I'm excited to be part of the World Hero Team
to expect from each one now. So I'll switch over to Deku. So with this one, you have 3 waves of enemies, and they all start pretty scattered apart. So characters, I mean, you know, the goal is to do these with everyone, but where you want to start getting some BP gains is characters who can fly around the map like Deku, right? Another useful thing, if you do pull for these cards, you know, whether that's because you spent money or because you had some good odds or whatever it may be, All Might and Endeavor are both great grouping cards. So they can pull them together, and as you saw, they can make them pretty simple to take out the whole group. You also have AoE attacks on Deku. One thing that can help make this a little easier is if you don't have All Might and Endeavor active cards, but you've been following my advice, if you have heroes, what you can do is check out your character's support skills. So for Deku, I have All Might, who doesn't do much grouping as a support character, but he does come in and deal some nice AoE damage, and Tokoyami. He can pull them together, so if I use Deku's E skill, I can pull in Tokoyami, who groups people for me. So that's kind of a budget way to pull people in that way. Otherwise, you're going to want All Might or Endeavor. Nezu is a great follow-up because just by playing the game, you can easily get enough to get a breakthrough level 3 Nezu, and he can at least do some widespread AoE damage. So there are a couple cards that can help you out with that, but at the end of the day, it's just dealing damage to a large area.
Part of the World Hero Team.
Or grouping them. Up next is Point Explosion. Point Explosion is a lot of people's least favorite. So if I just try to fight them, I can because I have pretty high BP, but it's painful on characters with lower. I mean, even that took me longer than it should have. So part of it is they have high shields. Another part is this over here. Your crit rate drops madly. So I can pull them together and slowly deal some damage, and once those shields break, I can probably take them out. So for that reason, I don't like saying any card is necessary. That said, watch what happens when I use Endeavor. So that was, I mean, less dramatic than I expected, but you saw right there, health bars drop by 10 bars from a single attack. The reason is Endeavor as a support card increases your character's crit rate by 100%, so to 100%. It decreases crit damage depending on what breakthrough you have for a different amount of a different percent, but I don't care because it's buffed by 200% here. So the Endeavor card makes this significantly easier. The other thing that makes this easier using my Deku is penetration. So there are a couple cards that offer that, namely Game Start, which is something you can focus on the support card Sniper banner. And actually, that's pretty much what you're looking at to increase penetration. So when you land an attack, you can increase by 20% your penetration rate.
I'm excited to be
You can also focus on getting that on chips. It's generally speaking a good skill anyway, but I don't necessarily think you should be having chip builds specific for different battles. It would just be way too much farming and right, but if you have it, use it. But the Endeavor active is not the only way to increase crit rate. There are also some other cards that you could use, including Cold Shot, which is summonable through the Sniper banner, right? So you can choose to focus on this, and I think it's a pretty solid focus. So you can choose that. You can also use Kendo for a little bit more of a budget option, or even Ragdoll for a 4-star card. So there are some chances there to increase crit rate, and because crit damage is so heavily buffed in Point Explosion, crit rate is a good way to go. So you can set out an entirely critical build, use all 3 of those cards if you've got them, and just increase crit rate enough to compensate for the decrease that the mission gives you. All right, next up we have Extreme Pursuit. If you make it through Point Explosion, this one's usually not that bad. Once again, grouping is essential. I have the All Might active so I can pull them into one group and just take them out as a unit. That makes this significantly easier. Your goal in this one is to beat the villains before they reach that portal. If one of them touches that portal, you lose. So here I have 50 seconds, but realistically they don't take that long to get over there. So if some can stall or pull them back. So if I drop All Might here, he should pull him back. Oh, well, he killed him. He can pull him back a tiny bit. Tokoyami can slow him down. Kamui Wood's active card can root them in place. So those are some ways to slow them down. Todoroki can freeze them if you're playing as him. And that's how you can end up taking longer, but I've never gotten 1 star on this. If I beat it, I got 2 or 3. But beating it can be tough because you have to pull them back and deal enough damage before they get to the end. So I would say focus on any cards that can do that for you, that can stun or root or group. Any cards like Nezu that can deal area damage. If you don't have those, mostly it's just about dealing a ton of damage really quickly. The thing they did that is unfortunately pretty annoying is, I would say, starting at Point Explosion, they kind of tailored each of these to having a specific active card. Point Explosion is Endeavor. Extreme Pursuit is Kamui Woods. You can do it without it, but you'll need a battle power significantly higher than their recommended. So, just keep that in mind. I guess arguably we rounded them all up, is focused toward All Might as well, but everything kind of before that here, this 53,000 is a fair estimate. Everything after is when it starts to get a little weird. All right, up next is Swift Interception. This one has 3 waves, and you have to stop them from getting to the portals down at the end again. These guys have shields that are pretty strong. Right, you can see how long it's taking me to take them down. I might not even be able to make it to the other guys before they reach it. Yeah, so I couldn't quite get there. So you have to use the disruptor here. Oops. You have to use the disruptor. And what that does is breaks their shields, makes them very vulnerable to attack, and stops them from moving. So every wave, I run back, reactivate, and then come in and try to take the guys out before their shield replenishes, because if you wait long enough, it will replenish. And they'll keep moving. Alright, I'm doubting myself. Oh no, there it is. So, that's kind of the way to do this one. The trick is you do have to run back and forth, right, between each side of this planter. So, if you have active cards that you can drop in from a distance, I dropped All Might onto the other side. Didn't even mean to do that. That's great. And you can take them out. Some characters can also kind of attack through it. I believe Deku can kick through it. Shigaraki might be able to teleport. So if you have characters who can do that, who can go between the two sides, that can help clean it up. Otherwise, just try it a couple times, take them out as quickly as you can, and run back and forth. That one really isn't too painful. If you can make it through Extreme Pursuit, you can probably do Swift Interception. And I have to go back on what I said. I don't think that one's geared to a specific active card. It's really more just about having anything to support you in dealing damage. Alright, now Iron Wall. I believe this used to be the last one. Let's talk about it. This guy, the main thing is Scavenger is back. He has a huge shield. So, as you can see, I'm dealing a lot of damage through that. Part of that is admittedly high BP. But a significant part of that is the card I showed you earlier, Game Start. That gives me 20% penetration rate, and it helps me deal damage despite his shield. So I'll switch that out to any character I'm trying to do this hero trial on, because I only have one copy, but I'll kind of trade it around to make this one a little more doable. Otherwise, make sure you don't get hit. He can kill you. And just keep trying to take the shield out and dealing damage through it. Some characters like Dabi or Sue can hurt him through that shield. So there are character specific kind of tricks. Also, I will say that the Aizawa active card, that there's no way to obtain it now, but in the future, when it is obtainable, that will make this kind of trivial because I believe it can reduce a shield value by 50%. Next up is Lethal Shock. So this is where we get the return of Tesla. He stands stationary in the middle, so that's pretty nice. But he does these shocks every couple seconds that deal a third of your health. I believe it's always a third because I've kind of noticed that trend. So with him, the main thing, obviously, I mean, you want to take him out, deal damage as quickly as possible. But make sure you don't see, I was just stuck in a combo, so I got hit by his AoE. So you want to make sure you can dodge that. The timing can get a little weird, but practice it and you'll get there. And the other thing you can do is find cards. If you played during the World Heroes mission and you have Flecked, that's who's on him now, it blocks an attack every 20 seconds. So that just completely eats up this whole strike. So that's helpful. If you don't have him, Long Wool gives you a shield, so that can be useful as well. And that's pretty much it. Anything that adds shield value is where you want to go. All right, next up is In the Shadows. So this is the last one. This one was made to complement the Jiro active because they all go invisible and her gimmick is, you know, finding invisible people. You can, if you don't have that card, just attack blindly, and if you have high enough battle power, you can find the guy who you have to beat, because you don't have to defeat all of them, you just have to defeat the right one. So yeah, the tip over here literally says choose the right active card, so this was intended for you to use Jiro. But like I always say, I don't think pulling for actives is necessarily the best if you're free to play. So you'll want to just try it a couple times. If you're quick enough, I think you can lock onto them and beat them. I don't know if you can really beat them before they go invisible, but I just group them and deal some massive damage, and yeah, there it goes. So that is very doable. Really, I did it with all of the characters I was able to complete it with. Like anybody I had beaten Lethal Shock with, I was able to do In the Shadows before I got the Jiro card. Alright, so that's an overview of all of them. One thing I do want to go back and add is Lethal Shock penetration is also good because of his shield. Alright, and yeah, you basically, the main thing there is cards. You want to get a good card build for each mission, kind of following a little bit of what I said. If you find something else, let me know. And get as many stars as you can to get those universal buffs. So I think that's it for this mode. I can go through individual heroes and maybe give some tips on how to play each hero for hero trials on some of the harder missions, if anybody thinks that would be interesting. But for now, I think that gives you a broad overview. So thanks for watching, guys, and let me know if there's anything else you want to see or anything about hero rating or anything else that's confusing. Otherwise, I look forward to talking to you next time.